Hello, I'm Executive Chef Joseph Schultz and welcome to our kitchen. Today I'd like to share with you my recipe and procedure for making empanada. For those of you who do not know what empanada is a handheld meat pie. It's a flaky pastry that is filled with meat and or vegetables. In today's demonstration, I will show you how to make the dough, how to fill them, and I'm going to show you three of my favorite go-to fillings. So join me now as I show you how to make this amazing snack. At this time, I'd like to send a quick thank you to all of the current subscribers. I really appreciate your support. Repeat visitors and first timers, welcome. And if you've not done so and you're enjoying the content, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and hit the notification bell and be up to date with all of our latest posts. Let's get cooking. So the first recipe is going to be braised beef with chipotle and goat cheddar. So I'll begin preheating my pan over medium-high heat. Add some oil and then go ahead and add your beef. Now, I prefer using braised beef, and this is a chuck roast. I think that you get more flavor developed in it than you would if you use ground beef. Now that our filling has cooled to room temperature, we will add our Manchego cheese. It's important to allow the filling to come to room temperature before adding the cheese. We don't want the cheese to melt now. If it does, then everything binds together and it would really be a mess when you try to fill the pastry. Now we got it evenly mixed throughout. We're just gonna set this off to the side into the cooler and move on to our other fillings. Or if this is the only one you're making, move on to making your pastry. Well, now we have our chipotle beef. And when I pulled it from the braising liquid, I let it cool slightly, just enough to touch. And then I chopped and shredded the beef nice and fine. That way it's gonna be much easier to fill the empanada. So now I like to add some blanched rutabaga. If you don't have it or don't like it, feel free to use a potato. It's perfectly fine. But be sure to blanch it. You don't want the product to end raw. Peas. I'll add cilantro. And goat cheddar. And just go ahead and gently fold everything together. Now, everything is mixed thoroughly and well balanced. We are ready to start stuffing empanadas. Well, now that the butter and shortening have melted, let's remove it from the heat and allow it to cool for about 15 minutes. Well, in a large stainless steel bowl, I have my all-purpose flour. I will then add some salt. And then go ahead and add your water with the fats that are all melted. allowing it to cool down first, of course. So let's go ahead and gently with your hand, go ahead and mix it around. I mix it just briefly, like so. Then I'm going to add my eggs. And now let's go ahead and mix completely together until the dough comes all together. Now, I like to work my dough in the bowl just because, one, it helps keep everything together, and not to mention it's a lot less mess. So now that I've got it all together, I'll go ahead and lightly flour my workspace. And let's go ahead and remove the dough, turn it out onto the table, and then what I will do is I'm gonna cut this in half, work it in two separate doughs. As you see, my board is just one for the house, so it's not really large. In the kitchen or the bakery, I'd have a much larger, wooden table that we can use, and I could roll it all out in one batch. So now let's go ahead and knead this for 5 minutes or so. If you have to, you can add a touch of flour to it. You don't want to add too much flour to it because we're not trying to change the entire texture or the dynamic of it. Very much like when you're making bread. If you have a certain percentage of hydration and you continue to add flour as it's sticking to the board, you now decreased your hydration level. So your crumb on the inside is not going to be the same. Well, now we have our first dough ball completed. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this with plastic wrap and put it into the cooler and allow it to rest in there for 30 to 40 minutes. Well, now that our dough has rested in the fridge for a little while, I'll go ahead and remove it and put it to a work area that is lightly dusted with flour. Add a little more in there, my rolling pin. So what I like to do is I press it out with my hands a little bit just at the beginning, just to kind of maintain somewhat of a round shape. Now, if I was doing something different where I'm cutting them square or something like that, then maybe I try to force it more into a rectangle or square shape. But now we will just go ahead and start rolling them out. Okay, now we have our dough rolled out. Very nice. I'm only gonna put a little touch on that. I don't want to put too much flour into it. Just want to keep it a little easy to maneuver. The dough does feel a little wet, not overly tacky, which is nice. So now the cutting. I recommend using cookie cutters. Different sizes, whatever you're looking, for what you're looking to do. And I also have these little contraptions here that are pretty nice for crimping and filling. Be certain that the cookie cutter corresponds with the shape, or with the size, obviously. These are optional. I come to find they work pretty well. So let's go ahead and start our cutting. Begin all the way at the edge, so you're not wasting much. And then slide your mold, your ring cutter, cookie cutter, next to it as close as you can. And just firmly press down through. I like to twist a little just to make certain that it cuts through. And continue with the entire sheet of dough. Well, here we are. We have our discs cut. I'll rest it in my fingertips like so. And then go ahead and fill the center of the empanada. Then go ahead and gently close it up like so. Take the ends to the ends. And if there's anything in there kind of coming towards the edge, push it back in, tuck it in, and gently crimp your ends to make certain that nothing is going to prohibit it from sealing. Now we just crimped it like so. Now, to make the thread, this is hard for me. So we will pinch the end like so and twist it, and then pinch down. And then take again and twist. Again, twist. Turn and pinch. Turn and pinch. And the final turn and pinch. Now to begin, I will go ahead and run it with my small roller just a touch. I just want to make certain that it's evenly even thickness all the way across. So placing it in my fingertips, we'll go ahead and make a little hole and fill your empanada, leaving space on the edges so they can make contact. So now push any of the excess in. Go ahead and crimp the dough like so. Have your crescent moon. Now what I'll do is when I pinch it, I'm pinching and pushing the filling in, and I'm also pulling back a little bit like so. Now, two things we could do. Several things, well, three actually. One, you could leave it like this if you wanted to. I mean, if it aesthetically looks good enough for you and you've secured it well enough that it's not going to open up, hey, that's great. Otherwise, you could use a fork and kind of crimp it this way, just like you would, maybe a ravioli or a pierogi, and you have like that. That is one way to do it. Another way to do it, we'll use our little toy here. I put a little touch of flour on it just to make sure it doesn't stick. Go ahead and lay your dough in. Gently press down to give yourself a little undulation or indentation. Again, we'll fill our filling. Go ahead and gently close it. And there you have it. So that's another way. A third way can be like so. Let's go ahead and again, put the dough in your fingertips. Go ahead and add your filling. And let's go ahead and close it up. Again, pinching and pulling a little bit away. Give yourself some space to work with. So now, this is going to be the more traditional way. So you would take this, lay in your hand, and go ahead and pinch it and roll it. Pinch down, take your next bite, and go ahead and roll it and pinch. And then continuously roll and pinch, like so. And working your way around. And you have like so. They could call this the threading or the thread. Mine, it's been a long time since I've done it. It's not perfect, but it doesn't look horrible. It's a little more along the lines of the traditional empanada. So whichever style suits you, whatever you find looks acceptable, one that is easier, and then also if you're doing large batches, one that you can get done in a timely manner, either choice, go with it. Well, now that we have our empanadas filled and enclosed, we're going to brush it with egg. egg yolk. And obviously this is going to help generate a nice beautiful golden brown color. So be certain to hit the entire empanada with exception to the bottom. And then we're going to place it into a preheated oven, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to bake them until golden brown. And that should be right around 15 minutes. Well, there you have my empanadas with 3 of my favorite fillings. The dough. Some recipes will say put the butter in cold and then bust it up either with your hands or with a dough knife or dough blender. The problem with that is you're going to end up making something more along the lines of a pie crust. Some people out there say, you know, for the quick and easy empanada, use a pie crust. Could you? I guess. I personally would never do it, only because the pie crust is going to come out way too flaky. It's going to be messy. It's not even the same texture as it would be in an empanada or a pasty. You can hold this and see how it's, you know, it's doughy. I don't want to say like a bread, but it is a softer pastry. The reason I get the softer pastry is because I'm adding or using more shortening than butter. Shortening is 100% fat, has no water in it, therefore is going to yield a softer dough. By using butter instead of the shortening, you're going to make it flakier as the water evaporates and creates a drier and flakier crust, just like in pie crust, or even in biscuits for that matter. So that's why I melt the fats in the water. Your fillings, have fun with the fillings. Do anything you like with it. A great breakfast empanada is to take either one of these, like the black bean and corn, the duck, or just a plain egg with onions, peppers, or something like that. Makes a great breakfast empanada. Empanadas, they freeze fantastic. This is something you can absolutely do in advance. Cut them, fill them, crimp them, and then put them right to the freezer. I would freeze mine without the egg on it. And then when you come out, when you need them, just bring them out and then go ahead and brush your egg on it and go right to the preheated oven from the frozen state. Yes, they will take about 17 to 20 minutes probably. However, they will still be just as fantastic. Also, if you're going to do these on the same day, I recommend doing the dough first and then putting it into the cooler so it can set and rest. Then go ahead and make your fillings. The fillings are a lot easier to work with when they're room temperature or a little bit warmer than that. You don't want to start filling empanadas when the filling is hot. And when it's cold, it's sometimes a little bit of a bugger too. And that's all I have for you. Whether you call it an empanada or a pasty, I can assure you, you're going to enjoy this recipe and enjoy making these. And everyone that you make them for is going to love it as well. So thank you very much for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Thank you for joining. Yud Vay.